On today's episode, we talk about having day jobs and attitude with those day jobs, and we give tips about your jobs and life in general. And it's funny how everything worked together. And speaking of work together, who do we work together with?
Pod Bros.
We are proud partners with Pod Bros, and we always thank them. And check this out. Welcome to episode 30 of the Media Layer Sandwich. With me is Mark Monster from
CrazyMark.com
and William from
AllAboutWilliam.com.
It's always about William. And now, we say it's always about William, but a lot of times it's about actually being to live. And we all have something, or at least maybe not Mark right now, but I know you have in the past.
Something.
Day jobs. And it's not all about our day jobs.
We're not going to go there but yeah, day jobs. Yeah, okay. Day jobs, yeah.
We're not going to go there, but we're going to go there.
Yes, we are. We're going to have to write you up.
Right. And one question we've gotten, how do you mix your day job with what you do? And we were talking about this earlier, Mark. Tell us, those sayings. We've all heard them before.
Okay, here's the thing. You either have a great job that's going to encourage you to do what your passion is, to follow your passion, whether it's film or radio, anything in the media. Or you got that really horrible job from Bleep, where they're going to tell you to cut your hair, change your ways, don't see these friends anymore, don't embarrass the company. Oh my gosh. I mean, come on. How about you, William? You've ever encountered anything like that?
Yeah, I've encountered both sides of it at two different jobs, and yeah.
I countered both sides of it at the same job.
Oh, wow.
At the same job.
That can be crazy, man.
I was working. I'm going to try not to leave too many names, but obviously if people Google me, they might, they can figure out pretty easily enough. But
I'm going to have to write you up.
But I worked at a university, and I worked for both the education, an education program, and I worked for the university itself, doing video and audio visual stuff. And one side was very encouraging, hey, it helps our students, it helps you. We're not paying you enough to live off of everything. We want to see you succeed. And the cool thing is, you're doing all this stuff on your time off, and then you're bringing more experience to us. We want you to, now both sides were we want you to keep doing these other things because it's helping your day job. It's helping your knowledge grow because it's all connected.
Yes.
But one side, it's talk to the students too, help them, help us, and it all works together. Meanwhile, with the other side, some people on the corporate level or other levels see it and they're that might not give the best impression. That might not do this. We don't,
Yeah.
I got yelled at for wearing a bandana, not by my boss, not by his boss, but by someone else that complained to my boss's boss's boss or something like that.
And I think somebody once said you can always count on HR for BS.
Well, the funny thing is, this guy was in a very similar career field, and he had employees that not only promoted themselves but actually created content on working hours, on the premise. But they had an issue with me because they thought they didn't know me, and they thought I was representing myself completely unprofessional because I was wearing a bandana. Forget the fact that it's 95 degrees outside. I'm running around holding a heavy camera.
See, that's the thing.
And I can't wear a hat or sunglasses to block out the sun. I'm working. I'm a camera guy. This is to block the sweat from draining into my eyes.
I mean, we gotta give these guys awards, for mental fitness, for coming down on you like this, because a lot of them too, they just don't comprehend branding. Okay, a company will just go out and they'll flounder and whatever, and you've got your look over there, Toaden.
But do they
have your
maybe
brand?
They comprehend branding to the point where you're branding yourself, but you're not fitting our brand because I am getting paid by them. The one of the things is, I believe it's more of a they're too focused on something else. They're like, oh, we have to make a great impression, and they forget that, oh, he needs to be functional. And, because I can't wear a suit and tie. I cannot wear a tie when I'm doing camera. I know some people do, but I can't wear a tie when I'm doing camera. I can't wear a tie when I'm running around.
Yeah, how are you going to get that fantastic camera angle if you're like all tight in a suit and you just can't get down for that cool Dutch angle from down below?
Oh, yeah, wearing a suit jacket while running a switcher is tough.
You're doing that, and all of a sudden, you try to bend over and you go...
I've had that. I've had that.
You've had that happen.
Tell us, William. Tell us all.
Nah.
Were you on a job?
Yeah. Were you?
Were you on your feet the whole time, or?
Yeah, I was on my feet the whole time, but it was actually on. I was doing something with my camera at a event. I bend over and then I hear rip.
That's okay. I think it happens to everybody.
Yes.
Now, luckily, if you're wondering what that sound is, Mark is tearing paper to try
to simulate tearing a cloth. Unfortunately, wearing dark clothes on top and wearing tidy whities on bottom, wow, we become a scene and a spectacle. And William, I'll tell you, I identify with that part where you're saying about, okay, the company wants you to represent them in a specific way. It's just like I was with another company, and they were way cool with what I was doing. But of course, the president of the company says, just when you're out representing in store, just tie. I didn't say tear your hair out, but tie your hair back. And they're like, cool, you're right on.
I've gotten that before too when I had longer hair. Hey, can you tie your hair back? I also had one place that, hey, look, if you're going to grow a bunch of facial hair, just clean it up a little bit. My current job has never told me anything like that, but they believe I have enough respect to where I'm not going to let it go absolutely crazy. But if I really wanted to, I still don't think they're going to say anything. My current job has been fantastic.
See, all that facial hair makes you look like a doctor there, Toaden.
Or a wolf.
So what about
doctors can have facial hair? Not surgical ones.
Yeah, I was going to say surgical, probably not. It depends on the doctor.
William, have they ever lowered the boom on you and your company about or where you work about your appearance or your hair, your shirt, or anything like that?
No, unless it's been horrible. I've had 1 or 2 days because my job is cleaning up a place, in which I've gotten trash all over me within the first 10 minutes of getting there.
Now, aside from that, how's that gotten in the way of or encouraged the type of work that you do? Photography and media.
Well, how it's gotten in the way is my last job.
Hours. Hours.
Yes, hours.
You didn't make your own schedule.
No. But the way it's gotten in the way is my last job didn't think that my side job, my photography or anything like that, was worth anything, so they wouldn't give me the days off for them when I'd request it. My standing rule is if I want to go somewhere or there's something coming up, I have to know 30 days so I can put in for it. Mm-hmm. I usually don't have a problem, at least with my current job.
Yeah.
But my last job, I only got 40%, so the higher paying stuff I'd call off for.
I'm very lucky with my current job because I have weekends off, and because it's connected in certain ways. It's connected in the way that it's in a similar field, if not overlapping fields. Not contradictory. It doesn't, I'm not, what do they call it? Conflict of interest.
Yeah,
I am not conflict of interest with my current company. With the university, I was told, one of the videos I worked on actually had several students come out as interns. I might have even helped a student. Oh yeah, a couple different videos. One video I helped students. They were my fraternity brothers, and we did a video. And he was like, "You cannot let certain people watch this stuff, and you cannot do any more videos with violence in it."
Oh, what kind of
violence?
Where did they draw the line on violence in that one?
Violence. You can't let people have. You can't be having violent videos because it wasn't a comedy or the zombie stuff. One of them actually had like fake gunplay and stuff. You can't let people watch this because it'll give them a wrong impression.
Oh my gosh! The first time someone
no
frowns,
violence.
That's it. Oh,
Yeah,
You
something so
know-
much as smacking somebody might be considered violence.
don't frown.
Yeah,
or
no,
you're down.
no angry stuff. No,
Ooh.
nothing, because you're in academia and you cannot be portrayed this way, which is absolutely crazy. Because I don't know how many English academia people I know that have books where there is some heavy, heavy violence in it.
Yes.
But as someone, and this was not my education side, teaching side. This was working for the university side. I told the other side, my program director, and they were like, "What? No, didn't someone get a scholarship off of one of these videos you're doing?" Yes. So you're helping students out on this, and you're helping their careers.
Toad,
Yes.
Toad, I gotta ask you, man. How many?
Well, let me finish that one thought real quick.
Okay.
When it came down to it, do I want to keep doing these types of videos if I'm asked? And it came down to, am I willing to get fired over it?
Yeah, see, and I gotta ask you, man, Toad. How many times were you written up over all these misunderstandings and weirdness?
Never.
Never.
I was never written up over it. I've had harsh words and people talking about it, but I was never officially written up over any of that.
Dude,
I
I've
was
been
only
written up millions of times.
Once at that job. And really, technically, I was never even written up for that because I was never gotten any formal punishment or any formal even talking to. Just a letter that went behind my back.
Oh, dude, man, I've been written up on a weekly basis at a job that I was once at. Man, it's more like slave labor. But
Ouch.
how about you, William? You been written up any?
A couple times, mostly for absences at my last job. You
Yeah,
know,
and a lot of it had to do with your personality, or with the fact that maybe, okay, I have something on the side I want to take care of. That is, of course, our media pursuits.
Yeah, that's the way
Yes.
I read the question. I mean, I've had jobs where I
Yeah,
got in
no.
trouble, but I've never gotten in trouble over my media pursuits, especially because I do it very respectfully. I don't borrow equipment to profit. In fact, I very rarely borrow any equipment, and when I worked for the university, I only borrowed equipment when it was offered. Oh, you need this, especially because I did it as a student, and they did let me do it as an educator as well, but it was also to test the equipment, and I never did any jobs that got me money. And in fact, all those jobs I also had students learning. There were learning experiences. And my current job, I don't do that at all. They have to be separate. I can't have a conflict of interest. And luckily enough, they are very, the focuses are so different. There is no conflict of interest there.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's cool because, looking back, I had a job with Media One and Comcast, which is way cool. And they were always telling me, hey, take the camera out, make more shows, which was a cool thing. I worked with programming and broadcast at night. I was more or less the guy who sat back in the booth and would look at the schedule and play the next show. And I'd sit back and watch and make sure no shows dropped out and all the sound and all the color was correct, and playing with the oscilloscope and whatnot.
The other big separation with work and stuff is your politics, and even if what you're saying and doing isn't very political, you got to be mindful of your audience. There are things that you shouldn't go near and shouldn't say.
Yeah.
It's like, I wouldn't flirt with any of my coworkers. No matter what the situation is, that's something I wouldn't do. I like my job too much to put that on jeopardy. It's something I don't think about.
Romance
not even
on the job.
I was gonna say, even if you could, I don't recommend flirting with a coworker. I've done it.
No, when I was teaching, I would no coworkers, no students. I was actually told it was okay because I wasn't a professor. I was an assistant teacher. One of the professors I worked with told me, hey, if you want to date one of the students, as long as you're respectful about it, it would be okay. Because old school, a lot of people have dated their professors and assistant teachers and stuff.
Oh,
no,
man, the
no.
stories.
In today's day and age,
You gotta be
I
very
wouldn't
careful.
touch it. Not at all.
I would have a contract, but anyway, that's another story. So back to the jobs there, Toaden. The works that more or less encourage you to grow, and those who more or less want to put their thumb down on you and be the man and suppress you? What's any other
I don't think I've ever really had it that bad, because even in the job where I've said where they're like, oh, I don't want you to do any violence, it was never to the point where I felt like my job was in jeopardy. I might have been a little paranoid, but when it came down to it, I was like, you know what, would I get fired over this? Hey, if it's helping other students out, yes, I would, because if someone asked, why'd you get fired from your last job? Well, because I was doing video stuff on the side and I was helping students out, but they thought it was a little too violent, even
Mr.
though all I was
Socrates.
doing was working with a script and it's video production. And they
Corrupting
would
young
probably look at me and be
people's
like, wow,
minds.
that's very weird. Can I see this?
Socrates.
Well, and then I show them, if they're willing to watch the video, which I didn't make any not safe for work videos.
We're gonna call you Toaden Socrates.
Since none of the videos I was making, they were all safe for work. So it still would have been fine if they were to watch it or reviewed it. They probably wouldn't have seen any problems with it. And if they did see a problem with it, I probably wouldn't want to work there anyways either.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing, though. I mean, that's why I keep telling people, let your personality shine, because when you have an interview, they're interviewing you to see if you would fit in.
Yes.
So if they don't think you would fit in, there's a good chance that you wouldn't fit in and you wouldn't like it either.
And you want to be yourself, and don't try to fake it, because you're gonna hate it if you do end up being hired on.
Yeah, and I've actually had a job that didn't like what I did on the side.
What's that mean?
Huh?
What's that?
Oh.
You might not be able to say.
No, I just don't want to say it.
Okay.
Because I actually worked for the same type of job at just different company. The one company I worked with didn't like my side job and wouldn't give me any of the time off, so I was in a hurry to find someplace else.
Oh, okay. I'd be in a hurry too. Okay, going forward though, with another job that I had, whose name I won't mention, that was really bad. Once they had stormed in and taken over a company I was working with.
Well, first tell us how it was working. The story you told us earlier, and you don't have to mention any names or even the name of the company, but you said this company was very encouraging you.
Yes.
Tell us about that first, and then what happened.
Oh man, it was most excellent. When actually I was hooked up through this job through someone else, and we met over at some restaurant, and I thought, okay, yeah, that's all good and whatever. And then the next week they flew me into Chicago, and I thought, oh, this job is for real. When they found out what I did, they were totally encouraging about, Crazy Mark, make your TV show, Crazy Mark, we're there for you, keep on doing it, There was a music conference going on in Chicago, and my boss gave up his penthouse. Yeah. He said, you can stay here while you go to the music conference. I was like, what? And vice president was, I'll be your sponsor here in Chicago. I go, what? It was awesomest of days. I'm just going to say, thank you, Jim. You are awesome. You were the most awesome manager I had ever had. I've had also other awesome managers, but Jim, thank you very much. And if you're hearing this and you say, hey, that's Mark. Yeah, again, thank you.
And then what happened?
Well, years later, as the company moved along and realized that things weren't as profitable, another company moved in, and the next thing I know, it was cut your hair, stop what you were doing. It went from the mentality of work to live to the mentality of live to work, where you'd be sleeping with your smartphone. At night, you'd get a call at 4 a.m, 3 a.m. We have this plan. We have to do this now. You did not have a life. During those years, Crazy Mark TV died. I died. I mean, basically, I was on my way to death.
You weren't having a good time.
That's putting it very mildly.
Okay, so to wrap things up, absolutely, you work to live. You want to, wherever you're at, you got to be happy. And if they encourage you, we've been very lucky to have employers that encourage us to keep doing things. And, and that conflict of interest thing, I'm very cautious of it. I've even had employers tell me, hey, you can go do this and do that and even use it for your stuff or borrow this. I try not to do that. I understand that could be very tempting for some people, and maybe you do a little bit of that, but I'm very, very cautious because you never know what might happen. Someone else might buy the company, and the things you're used to doing, you can't do anymore. So I try to keep it somewhat separated, but in the day, as long as we're happy, and you want to be with people that make you happy.
Yes.
And they want you to be happy. If they don't want you to be happy, you want to be looking for other places. Be motivated. That should motivate you to find ways to make you happy. With your enjoyment, with your life, with your employment, everything. Thank you for listening. We got Mark with
crazymark.com, and thank you, Glenn.
William
from allaboutwilliam.com.
And I'm Scotty Mayali from Toaden.com, also youtube.com/ToadenK. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching if you're watching. If you're listening through Pod Bros, again, thank you. Check out Pod Bros. Check out the other shows. Appreciate it.